we're live.
Fantastic.
Well, Stephen made a promise to all of you on our newsletter. If you didn't get our newsletter, then shame on you. You should be subscribed to askdrvincent.com Substack. But long story short, Stephen said that as a producer of the show, he will make sure things are smoother, things are more sophisticated, and I'm so glad that he made that commitment, because I'm certainly out of my depth when it comes to this kind of things. And it will start with the number of microphones that we now are wearing.
Yeah.
If you kind of see on this side, because I hide it better than Stephen can, if you're curious, make sure that you watch the recording that will drop after hours on Thursday.
Yeah, because I look more like I've now been taken over by the Borg with so many microphones.
I kind of like, are you real?
I also thought that I'd wear my darker glasses, because it was a few weeks ago that somebody made a comment about my glasses.
Well, they asked how many different pairs of glasses do you actually own?
So I've been trying to wear different ones each time.
And well, Anthony, if you notice, make sure that you comment. Anyway, welcome back to our Ask Dr. Vincent live recording. Today is our, I think, don't hold me to this, but I think it's our 33rd episode.
I think it is.
Which means that we, if this is television show, we are past one season, because usually back in the day, I know that now television show is only like 6 episodes, 8 episodes, but back in the day when I was younger and when Stephen was younger too, it was 22 episodes. So
yeah, exactly. 20 songs or so on a CD. The only difference that I've seen recently, and I think that our Taiwanese listeners would know,
yes,
that most Taiwanese TV shows, a season is like
40, 60. Yes, I remember that because I actually learned, much like I learned my English from watching infomercial and the Martha Stewart shows. I learned to speak and listen to Mandarin from Taiwanese drama.
Oh, wow.
Which,
that's really impressive. I've watched a heap of Taiwanese drama. I still can't speak.
well, if you can't tell, I'm also Asian, so that helps, I think. Anyway, I know that we are already on the tangent, and we haven't even officially told people what the topic of today. And I know that you probably thought that we spent a lot of time talking about food, our grocery shopping list, breakfast and things like that. And that is because, like we concluded, not yesterday, last week, food is such an important part of our culture, custom, and health. And we wanted to make sure that we gave it justice in terms of not only talking from the perspective of science, but also from the culinary perspective, as well as custom and cultures around the world. But today, we will go a little bit deeper when it comes to our health, especially at the cellular level, tissue level, and organ level, not just from the outside. And the topic of today is inflammation. And the question that I posed to Stephen was that I want to ask and discuss, why is it, when it comes to infection, when it comes to anything else that may affect us or that may afflict us, people don't really care about inflammation, although they should care about inflammation, because 80% of our illnesses and diseases are rooted in inflammation. What do you think?
Look, I think you're spot on, but I've got some ideas about why. So, I think one of the things is that if you fall over and break your arm, then it's obvious that that's what you've done.
Yes.
But I think in many cases,
And urgent.
yeah. If you cut yourself with a knife, if you are unfortunate enough to be in a car crash, all of these things, it's really super obvious that there's something that you need to deal with and urgently deal with it. But I think inflammation, in many cases, it shows up in slightly different ways. So potentially it could just be a bit of brain fog. And you can very easily just say, oh, I didn't sleep very well last night, or something like that, and explain it away. But I think that we need to focus on some of those things. These are early warning signs.
Yes.
Got inflammation. Is that right?
That is correct, because what you don't attend to today, maybe, and I'm not fear-mongering, please take this in the best way possible. What you don't do today when it comes to your health, be it from food, your habit, exercise and stuff like that may be a precursor for cancer in 10, 20 years time. We never know. A lot of the things when it comes to cancer, there was a lot of things that earlier science and earlier modern medicine couldn't really place when it comes to the symptoms, the cause and what trigger it, because back in the day, they don't see the bigger picture in terms of the longer term. What they observe today may have been triggered 20 years ago. For example, smoking. Back in the day, doctors and medical professional would be featured as a smoker, and they would say that such and such brand of cigarette is preferred by doctors.
Yeah, which is crazy when you think about it today. But I wonder what things we're currently having now, which in 20 years might prove to be maybe bad for us.
Ultra processed foods. Again, if you missed out last week, you miss out on a lot.
So, Vincent, if it is just feeling a bit unwell, what can we do about it? What should we be focusing on when we get up in the morning, and instead of just saying, "Oh, I slept badly," or "The cat was on my feet the whole night, so I couldn't turn over," or whatever it happens to be, what are the things that we should be looking at to try and identify inflammation?
I think, and I know this may sound very unscientific and very lax when it comes to due diligence and medical hygiene, but what I'm trying to say should resonate with you, Stephen, and with everyone, that we know how our body should feel. And the reason why I was compelled to answer it this way is because for the longest time, say for example, PCOS and endometriosis were dismissed as just you're being tired or women are being dramatic with their premenstrual syndromes and stuff like that. Whereas if you go back to interviewing or asking these questions to an older patient who underwent all of this rejection and dismissal, they knew something was not wrong. Something was wrong and something was not right. They couldn't pinpoint it because they might be true. It might be true that they're tired. It might be true that they haven't been eating as well as they could. But that doesn't mean that there was no underlying issue and factors. But when it comes to the inflammation, I think it is the repeated pattern and things that keep on happening. So we always talk about how consistency trumps perfection when it comes to a healthy habit.
Okay.
And the same is true when it goes to the other way. So if one day a week you feel very tired and you were tossing during your sleep and you didn't sleep very well, you might just chalk it off as like maybe I drank too much coffee.
Mm.
But if it happens consistently,
Yeah.
if it happens more often than not, perhaps that warrant further investigation. Or that, say, for example, back in the day, people who work in the factories and being exposed to toxic fumes or asbestos, for example, if you see it happening, well, one of the very first sign that they pinpoint to asbestos was not actually in the lab, but it's population study. That majority of the people who suffer from this kind of symptoms are people who work with asbestos, for example. That warrants further investigation.
Yeah.
So I really do think that number one, you need to know how you should feel. If you, I mean, if you suddenly feel that you're lethargic, whereas most of the days you're actually really, really energetic, and it keeps on happening, perhaps, go to the doctor and speak to your GP and explain your symptoms and push back when they just dismiss it.
Yeah.
But if you know that you are most of the time not very active and have the basal metabolic rate of like 400 calories, and then you're feeling tired, perhaps, fix your diet first, drink more water before thinking that, oh my God, it might be pancreatic cancer. So that's number one. You need to know yourself. And I really do think that we need to be honest. At the very least, you need to be honest with your own self as to what the state of your health is. And number two, look for the pattern. If it happens too often, perhaps that's not just something that you can ignore.
Mm. So looking for that pattern, that raises a whole lot of questions
Yes.
on my side. So firstly, I think that it's hard for people who are going about their working day to remember that there is a pattern or to be able to spot that pattern over a couple of weeks. And so, are there any things that you'd suggest that help our listeners to track that pattern without going overboard? I'm sure that I could go onto the App Store and there would be 1,000 apps that allow me to track how much water I've been drinking and all the rest of it.
I am actually more and more in the camp of people who are against recording everything and being too obsessive with data. I know that 2 years ago, even a year ago, a lot of these biohack bros, gym bros, and even scientists and medical researchers are so focused and so encouraged by the amount of data that we can record about our health.
And you're just about to go to the US, and so
Yes.
you will see the ads on US television about
Yes.
all of the things that you can stick to your body that
Yeah.
have
And
constant.
read all of your biometrics and data and everything, which is great. But the reason why I brought this up was because specific to sleep, did you know that 50% of people who already have issues with sleeping and went on an app and recorded their sleeping pattern and everything,
Mm.
actually they have returned worse sleeping score compared to before, because especially when it comes to sleep, when you obsess about it,
Yeah.
it goes the other way because you're exactly.
About it.
Exactly. But without going overboard, I really do think that the amount of sickness when it comes to your immune system. So you will know if day in and week out you're feeling run down or you're feeling tired.
Mm.
Tiredness and fatigue. There's a reason why chronic fatigue syndrome or fatigue is a term that TGA and FDA banned from being used as a marketing term or claim for health supplements, because fatigue and chronic fatigue syndromes are very much a medical definition, because those are the markers of how well your body can rebound. So I actually agree with them. Like, supplements can say that it helps with energy, metabolism, but when it comes to fatigue, I really want to give them, the respect that they protect those terms, because those are what medical researchers and your GPs are using to determine whether or not there's something wrong with your body. That's number one. Fatigue, consistent fatigue, which is chronic fatigue syndrome, is probably one of the, if you ask a lot of people who later on being diagnosed with something serious, majority of them would say that it started off by feeling tired or feeling off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, if you are training for marathon or high rocks, I'm doing high rocks by the way, and you said, "Oh, I'm tired," that makes sense because you have just burned 600, 800 calories. But if you're not doing anything and you're feeling tired consistently,
Yeah.
perhaps look deeper.
Okay.
And number two, so being sick, tiredness, and number three, I think there is a fine line of having robust amount of data and having too much data.
Yeah.
I believe that if your situation allows you to, twice a year or at least once a year, go to your GP. I believe in having one GP because not only it makes it easier for them to go back to your history, but also it makes it easier for you to talk to them.
Yeah.
And they know, if you go to your regular GP and you say that I've been sick 5 times over the past 3 months, he or she would probably say that, okay, maybe there is something wrong that we need to look for, because I've been your GP for 5 years and you haven't been sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may not be inflammation, or it might not be something sinister. It might just be maybe your house has black mold, you know?
Yeah.
So
Could be environmental.
could be.
Yeah.
So external or internal. So going to the GP and do your blood test, because you can do a lot. You can tell a lot from hematology. So white blood cells, which is probably one of the best marker, because if it's slightly elevated, they would see that maybe there's a mild viral infection. But if it's consistently elevated, they would probably say that there must be something that your body is fighting off.
Okay.
So
Or maybe something that your body is not getting enough of.
that is true too. Yeah. So again, you raise a very, very important point. So if I loop that back to feeling tired, it may just be your body's not absorbing or getting enough iron. So again, the reason why I chose the example of cancer and cigarette and everything, it's to prove a point, to get the point across, because human being, we are so wired to respond to something significant. Like you said, the reason why people tend to ignore inflammation over infection or over broken bones is that when your arm is broken, there you cannot will yourself.
Yeah, you can't ignore it.
You can't ignore it. You have to attend to it. So instead of like putting in a back burner because you're busy, because life gets busy. So yeah.
Yeah. Vincent, there is there's quite a well-known business book. It's called Atomic Habits.
Yes.
And the whole idea is that you make just these small changes, tiny changes, that get you on the right path. Do you think that there are any atomic habits that we could recommend to try and get our listeners on the right path to avoid inflammation?
People are going to complain when I say this, because I know that it's something that is so simple and it sounds so ridiculous. But yeah, if you guys are doing it, I wouldn't be saying this. Drink enough water.
Yeah.
Hydration is very, very important. Just think of your body like the car engine. I know the water in our body doesn't act like a coolant. It does in a way, but not in that way. But just think of it like in that way.
Mm.
Without, how do you expect your body to perform its function, to run on, high functionality, if you're not giving it things that they need? And number one, obviously oxygen, but water is something that a lot of people discount, especially now here in Australia. Before we went live, I just said to Stephen, it's so cold, and our brain is not very good at telling our body that it needs water, because it doesn't make us feel thirsty during the colder months. So be mindful. I do think that out of out of sight, out of mind. So the way that you trick your body is by having that water bottle right there.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. I know that it's ridiculous, especially when
I don't think it's ridiculous.
it is when it is 2 liters, Stephen. It is ridiculous.
Is it 8 glasses of water a day? Is that what we should
Ish,
be?
6 to 8. But then when it's 2 liters, like, have you seen these people? And I'm not being sexist, but gym girls. I don't even know how you could carry that around. Some of them are like really big.
There's a lot of going to the bathroom afterwards as well. I think it's so, but I think that it's great to have enough water.
Yes,
You probably can have maybe be drinking too much water,
you
which
you can. It's just, I mean, too much of good thing is bad.
Yeah.
And you can literally die if you drink too much water.
Yeah. I guess though that there needs to be a certain amount of water to allow the intake of vitamins,
Yes,
minerals. I think that's something I've learned actually over the course of our 33 episodes, that you could have a heap of vitamin C and a heap of vitamin B, but you can't take them on because they're water soluble.
that is correct. And not only that, vitamin B and vitamin C being water soluble means that when your body is absorbing what it needs, it still needs water to flush it out.
Yeah.
When you don't have enough water for the excess, When you don't have enough water, your kidney has to try to flush it out with minimal resources. And over time, again, consistency, it can put a damage on your kidney and liver, because they are the two major detoxification organs in our body.
That's an inflammatory response, right?
It is an inflammatory response. It's basically like when you scratch your skin. When you scratch it once, it's fine, but when you keep scratching it, and it will eat away, and then from just a scratch, it can turn into infection, and infection can turn into sepsis, and before you know it, you have to amputate your hand.
Yeah.
This all
Doesn't happen that quickly.
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that quickly, which is lucky for us. But at the same time, because it doesn't happen quickly, people, forget about it.
Look, it's actually one of the reasons that I carry antiseptic cream when I go bushwalking,
Yes,
because you can scratch your leg and not think about it, and put some water on it or something like that, and you keep going.
yes,
But actually, if you can deal with that thing that you've done right then and there, then the ability for you to recover is significantly increased.
yes. And
So I think it's the same way with having enough water.
that is a really good example, because, like many things in life, uh, be it biological, environmental, or computer, or anything, or financial, it is easier to solve small problems or small issues before they compound into bigger issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is my number one thing when it comes to inflammation and circulation and everything. Water. Obviously, we always have to talk about food, because what we eat is what we are. Especially for fresh fruit and vegetables. I actually just started a challenge on my Instagram. It's 1 week challenge. The only thing that you need to do is to include 4 vegetables in one of your meal a day, and you will see the difference in your health within that 7 days, because our digestive tract repair itself every 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
The problem is that when it doesn't have all of the phenolic antioxidants, all the vitamins, mineral, and fiber,
Mhm.
that hinders the ability to regenerate all the lining.
Okay.
And not only bad stomach lining will cause things like inflammation, and which may lead to things like IBS, constipation, and everything. It also hinders the ability of your body to absorb nutrients. So your body is being attacked from two prongs, from two sides. And before you know it, your body is fighting two battles that didn't need to happen in the first place.
And just 3 different vegetables for
4
7
different,
days. 4 different
four
vegetables,
different vegetables,
7 days,
7 days.
and that will
You will
make
feel more energized. You will feel more regular. It will improve the quality of your skin, especially during winter. If you have that, because I have rosacea, my daughter has eczema genetically. That is not something that you can just switch on and off, but you can manage it. And the cellular integrity and tissue integrity of your skin depends a lot on what you eat, and as well as your hydration level. But this is something that I challenge people to do. And if you don't feel any better after 7 days, it wouldn't do anything bad to your body anyway. Because I always believe that, whilst I am against the theory that as human being, as an organism, we should only just depend or rely on plant food and nutrients.
Yeah.
I believe that biologically we need both animal food as well as plant source,
So you're talking about proteins?
protein, fat. But my philosophy is that meat should be on the side instead of the hero of the dish. And I really do think that if we can just make that small change,
Yeah.
I'm not asking people to give up meat, because I will riot too if you ask me to. You can make better choices in terms of race and everything.
Yeah.
But if you make the changes, just meat on the side rather than meat at the center of your plate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I use the 25% rule
Yes.
and whether that's meat and 3 veg or meat and 4 veg
Yes.
for our challenge. I think that makes a lot of sense. When we think about the vegetables, coming into winter.
As long as you don't count your potatoes as vegetables, then I'm happy because
And this was my question. So Brussels sprouts, definitely
yes,
vegetables,
yes,
although not very popular.
it is very popular in some culture, in some culinary culture, man. However, in my mind, the and I love every type of vegetables, including Brussels sprout. Unfortunately, to make Brussels sprout taste good, you need the way that I cook it. You need bacon and sometimes cream, uh,
I've
butter,
and
a
I
high amount of salt.
Yeah, I think one thing I haven't spoken about too much on our podcast is my wife has some dietary requirements that include at the moment no gluten,
Yes.
but she's always been no dairy. She doesn't react well to lactose.
Okay.
And then she's really fussy with the meat cuts that she has. You know, it's more than just if you can recognize the animal. And I know that's very common that people don't like to eat things that they recognize what it is.
Can I, because your wife is not here, can I defend her for a little bit because she's not here? I, she probably is not fussy. She's selective.
No, she's fussy.
Okay. I try.
It's probably it is the better word perhaps that she.
Like a snob.
Well, I think that half of it is in her head because if I serve her, I do all the cooking at home. So if I make a beef something and I tell her it's beef, she often really likes it.
Okay.
But if I make a lamb something and I tell her it's beef, she still likes it.
Okay.
But if I tell her it's actually lamb, she'll say, "No, that's horrible." She doesn't want it.
Is it
It's lamb.
because the way that she grew up, perhaps, or because my grandparents don't eat lamb
Yeah.
because they think that it's just not what they are used to because they think that it has smell.
Well, and I think that there are a lot of meats that have very different fat content.
Yes.
And depending on how you cook them, those fat contents and that fat flavor is forward
Yeah.
for the meat. And so, and she doesn't like lamb, and that's fine. She eats venison, which is nice. She
Which is also
eats
is so again, kangaroo and venison, I would put it in the same category with lamb when it comes to the gaminess.
Mm.
And again, you're right. Like the way that you render the fat and the way that you so kind of manipulate and incorporate flavors into the entire
Yeah.
dish will make a lot of difference. But it's also really interesting that you say that when you present it in a different way, I'm trying to say a better word than lying, suddenly the whole perception is different.
Yeah.
So do you think we can apply or try to apply certain things in our atomic habits journey to trick ourself and our brain to be healthier?
I think we can. So I think that the Brussels sprouts example of needing to add bacon, and I don't get me wrong, I love bacon with my Brussels sprouts, but I'm not a massive Brussels sprouts fan. The way that I cook Brussels sprouts is with a little bit of dark soy, a little bit of mirin, and a little bit of sesame or olive oil,
Okay.
and so they're actually very healthy. But then I put them in an air fryer
Okay, to crisp them up.
to crisp them up. Brussels sprouts should be a little bit crunchy in the middle and like almost black on the outside without burning them.
I do that too, but I do it submerged in ghee because that is my. I always think that Brussels sprout, nature created Brussels sprout very, very perfectly to scoop up all of those liquidy, buttery sauce and taste. Because, I mean, if you don't know what Brussels sprout is, usually you cut them in half, and all of the layers of leaves are actually really, really perfect
They're very
to
pretty.
trap all of this yumminess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But let's come back to, I was going to ask you about potatoes
Yes.
and other vegetables. So when you say 4 vegetables, do you have limitations? So You know,
Go for different colors. So I think last night I posted a capsicum, purple cabbage, Chinese wombok or Chinese cabbage, and I'm pretty sure it was lettuce or cos lettuce.
Okay.
And I just tossed them together, a little bit of salt, pepper, and olive oil.
Mhm.
Did I put and a balsamic glaze because I like a little bit of sweetness. Sometimes I also use, depending on if I want to make it more so kind of Oriental and Asian flavor, everything's the same, but I swap out uh, olive oil to sesame oil, and I swap out the sweetness from the balsamic glaze with okonomiyaki sauce or teriyaki sauce. So I really do think that sometimes, and I'm not judging people and I'm not blaming people because it happens to myself too. Whenever someone says eat more vegetables or eat more fruit, it's very simple, but the simplicity actually is the downfall because when you're busy and pressed for time, you can't think. What do you mean eat more vegetables? Like, what do you mean I don't like carrots?
Yeah.
So if you give them,
What do they pair
yes,
with?
if you give them almost not instruction but guidance, when you say 4, okay, you start priming their brain and mind when they are in the middle of a supermarket aisle and say, okay, I like capsicum, I like avocado, I like lettuce, and perhaps because I am pressed for time, I'll just buy a bag of spinach leaves. And there you go, 4. And then you plan it already. Oh, they're all leafy. Maybe I'll just make a simple salad.
Yeah.
Or say for example, I consider corn is one of these vegetables. So maybe instead of having garlic bread or potato, mashed potato or baked potato, I buy corn on cobs. I can still put a little bit of butter. It still give me that satiety and fulfillment of having something quite buttery and quite carby without it being too heavily carbohydrate dense.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, look,
so yeah,
and I think a lot of our listeners might have heard what you were talking about that you did yesterday.
yes,
And they're all very leafy
yes,
sort of things. I think some people would say that's not very filling.
yes.
So what do you add?
Which means that you can eat a lot of them, and a lot of the times people, because I'm a foodie, I love food. I know that my relationship with exercise are mainly being dominated and encouraged by the feeling that if I exercise, then I can eat more. I'm not saying that's correct, but that is how it is. So the way that I try to trick my brain, this is it. Actually, this is a really good example, Stephen. I don't like going to bed hungry. And I don't know if you can relate to this, probably not, but probably a lot of people will relate to this. Food to me sometimes I love food, but sometimes I'm not addicted to food, but most of the time, food is the last thing that I think about before I go to bed, and the first thing that I think about when I wake up. So I cannot go to bed hungry. But at the same time, I also don't want to overload my digestive system with high fat, high carbohydrate, and
Heavy protein.
yes,
Take ages to
to
get through the system.
yes, to be digested. So my middle ground or my atomic habit is that I can eat a full bowl of salad that will just give me that fullness, maybe not for long, but I'll be in bed by 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I'll wake up feeling quite good about myself instead of feeling guilty. But at the same time, the reason why I like cabbage, for example, because cabbage, because I shred the cabbage, even though people might think that it's leafy, but it's actually quite hearty and quite filling. And the same thing with Chinese cabbage. I really, really like capsicum. I really like the in season at the moment, and the yellow capsicum is just so sweet and cheap. I sometimes put roast pumpkin because if you need something that is not potato, I'm not saying potato is bad, but don't have it every night. Pumpkin is a really, really good substitute because it's not a root vegetable, so you get that sweetness, you get that bite and feeling of eating something carby, but it's actually not that bad.
Yeah. So, and just coming back to that, the root vegetable.
Yes.
For anyone who didn't catch that, so root vegetables grow under the ground,
Yes,
which sounds really super obvious.
but
But there's a massive difference between what you get out of a root vegetable and what you get out of vegetables that grow
yes.
above the soil.
So usually vegetable that grows above the surface are actually botanically classified as fruit. Anything with seeds are fruit. So
So a pumpkin is a
fruit. So technically, that's probably why that's better in terms of the density of the carbs.
Yeah.
And the sweet potato, carrots, potato, they're all root vegetables.
beetroot.
And beetroot, they are actually what, for lack of a better term, true vegetables. So yeah,
Tomatoes,
are fruit.
cashews.
It's actually fruit, believe it or not. Have you ever seen cashew fruit?
I have. In fact, I came across which it's the reason I brought it up.
It's a type of guava.
Yeah. Harvesting cashews. There's a documentary on one of the streaming services about harvesting cashews, and I had no idea how they harvest cashews until I saw this documentary.
Yes.
Everyone should go and look it up.
Yes.
It's fascinating. You may never eat cashews again, but it's still fascinating.
Well, in Indonesia, it's called monkey guava, I think.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. But using the same logic, chocolate is actually fruit.
It is.
So again, I don't use it against me when it comes to like eat your fruit. Coffee is fruit. Well, yes, coffee beans, right? Which is really quite fascinating because this is I probably had the same reaction as to when you first found out about cashew. I actually thought that it's such a waste because coffee comes from coffee berries, and they don't care about the berries. It's the seeds inside that are prized. And again, technically you can use any seeds because essentially it's being roasted and everything. As a matter of fact, in a lot of countries, including Indonesia, where people want cheaper type of coffee, they actually mix coffee beans with roasted kernels.
Kernels, wow.
To emulate that flavor, even though the caffeine is not as high. And that's the reason why a lot of people, including my dad, for example, the first time he tried real coffee in the form of espresso, he thought that he couldn't sleep because that was the first time that he's been dosed with that high amount of caffeine.
Hit. Yeah. For readers of our newsletter, I put some notes about coffee actually in the last newsletter. So
Yes.
please have a look at it. The PDF I'm still doing, but also there is a web version which we should link to.
It is linked to the email that I sent out on Sunday. But of course, if you're listening today, and you can go to askdrvincent.com and make sure that you open the email. I know that probably you too, we get so many emails, and sometimes I feel that it's a bit spammy to send an email. However, most of us have our email on our phone, and this is the reason why, with your suggestion, Stephen actually makes 2 versions of the newsletter because you like to read PDF.
I like the PDF.
And I also like the PDF simply because then I can print them out, and when my daughter grows up, I can say that, well, we actually have a publication. But at the same time,
I read the PDF on my tablet, which I quite like.
And a lot of our listeners who probably don't have any reason to have a laptop, they use tablets. And that is really good because it's almost a digital magazine. It is a digital magazine. But at the same time, it is not, I understand it is not the most reader friendly when it comes to your mobile phone screen.
Exactly. So the web version, you should be able to bookmark actually. It's newsletter.askdrvincent.com/after hours. And that
Yes.
will take you to whatever the latest newsletter is.
And it's really easy. I've done it. I've seriously, I tested the beta version, 2 of the beta versions going up and down. It's actually really, really good. So thank you. Thank you, Stephen.
Excellent. We'll get to the Apple News standard eventually. And some
That,
technicalities.
that was literally what I said to Stephen. I said that, hey, do you remember I actually texted you? I said that, can I call you? And that you were like, yeah, of course. I was like, I don't know how to say this because I don't want to sound like make me an Apple News app. But basically, I said that, well, for me to explain this, the easiest way is like Apple News. So you might not, maybe you will have our version, and maybe this is the beginning of something
It
amazing.
might be. I'm not sure we have the resources that Apple have, but you know, we're a growing company.
We're an Apple-based company too. And speaking of Apple, tomorrow I will be flying to Dallas and then to Austin because if you are our listeners, you know that our debut on the third largest home shopping channel in the US, Shop LC, was so successful, so much so that they want me to go back, and they gave me 2 shows on, this is US time, on Sunday morning and on uh, Monday prime time, 6 to 8 p.m. So if you happen to catch it on anything that you want to, you watch your streaming, you can watch it through Roku channel. It broadcasts to 70 million households in the US. But at the very least, please wish me luck because I know I'm still, I don't know, it's probably, you probably won't believe it, but I am still very nervous every time before they say go.
Vincent, I watched some of your last appearance, and you don't come across as nervous, which is amazing. Also, you've got a couple of hosts who are obviously so used to having
Yes.
people on
Yeah.
that they really they help you along. But the thing that I really loved actually about it, and if listeners, if you can watch it live, you should. Even just for 10 or 15 minutes, because there's this little counter in the left-hand corner.
Yeah, I always thought it was fake whenever I watch infomercial or a shopping channel. It's real, and as a matter of fact, there is a specific. So they have 5 different cameras, and 12 monitors, and 2 of the monitors actually list out the sales on real time, and uh, it certainly didn't help me because I got even more nervous. But anyway, um. Anyway, I just wanted to end the show, today's episode with that because I worked really hard, but I also know that w- whatever that you believe in, I believe in people wishing me luck because that's very important. The energy that you put out to the universe and what you get back, I I think that keeps you and keeps me humble because you know that you can work very, very hard, but at the same time there are other factors, the X factors that you can't control, and you just wish and hope that they all, go your way.
But Vincent, it's often a karma thing in my experience.
I believe so too.
You
I believe in
put
karma.
good out into the universe, and good comes back to you.
I know, and this is so funny because not I don't I, b- I promise this is the last thing. Stephen mentioned about karma. This is real. And if you know me in real life, and if you're my friends, you know that I'm not a big complainer when we go to restaurant or wherever it is because I used to work hospitality, so I don't appreciate it. If people, being too fussy. But I made a concerted effort not to make any, complain or criticize anyone from the check-in people at the airlines all the way to there just prior to the big event because you don't want people to wish you negative things. And sometimes when you are being a challenging customer, because I've done this before when I work behind the bar and like if they're unreasonable,
Yeah.
in my head I will curse that person. So I don't want that to happen. So not that I'm a challenging customer. I really think that I'm quite easy, but especially before big events, and this dated back to exams. Like when I used to have to sit in exam, I always make sure that I'm being nice to people because you don't want all of the bad juju from strangers.
So this episode has been an interesting take on inflammation.
You don't want to
I
inflame
feel
people.
like you don't want to inflame people.
Yes,
There you
yes.
go. There's
That is the callback. That's a really good way to wrap this up. So anyway, thank you so much. And oh, for those of you who are listening to us on Instagram, you're welcome. The audio must be so much more crisper now
It should be
because
better.
it should be a lot better. And if you want to know why, make sure that you read the email so that you can go to the podcast, the video podcast, and you can see Stephen wearing 3 different microphones. So anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.